Welcome to simulated Denver International Airport. A CRJ is waiting at the gate. A winter storm is brewing in the inland Pacific Northwest. Hello, my name is Dave. I do the spy flights over on Twitch, and I also do some videos here on YouTube. Welcome to the channel. Welcome if you are new. And if you are new, these are complete flights, and they are also usually pretty cold and dark. And today's flight is really going to be a cold and dark, because normally when I do a flight plan like this, I've got the flight plan all set up and ready to go. But today, we're going to do the flight planning too. This is the Aerosoft CRJ. I'm actually flying the 550 version of this airplane. This is a complete and cold and dark flight that is shadowing a real-world flight, by the way. And we're going to focus a little bit on SimBrief's new planning interface too. Add-ons that I'm using for the flight: Navigraph, SimBrief, SimToolkit Pro, payware airports for the departure. There's also a freeware that I have for Bozeman. Now we're going to Bozeman, Montana, where they've got winter storm warnings and like 5 inches of snow, maybe even a foot in some areas. I'm also going to use FlightAware and also SimAware on this airplane. All right, so let's go ahead and just jump right in. How did I know this was a real-world flight? Well, there it is. There's FlightAware. It's United Flight 397, and this one has actually already left the gate. I had some audio problems or something today. So this is the flight, and you can see we've got a big patch of moisture out here in other parts of Montana, but a big area of snow's coming in. Winter storm warning, so, you know, all sorts of crazy stuff. Let's just jump right in and look at SimBrief. This is the new planning interface for SimBrief. It's been around for years. Navigraph bought it and did a really, really nice upgrade. So let's go ahead and do create a new flight. And let's see, this is United Flight 397. So UAL Flight 397. We are departing KDEN, beautiful sunny day in Denver, KBZN, Bozeman. Let's see, we'll depart, let's get about 1540 Zulu is a good departure time. I come over here for aircraft info, and I am sorting by name, and we want a CRJ model 550. So there's the 700s. This is a 700, but it's the 550 configuration from GoJet. Now, CRJs do not use cost index. So we're going to go at Mach 0.77. So no cost index on this one here. So that looks good. Let's come on down here. Lido style of charts, units. I usually do CRJ flights in kgs. So that's good. And departure and arrival runways. Well, I've got real world weather cranked into this. So what do I like to do? I come over here and I go to the digital ATIS. And let's look and see what's going on at Denver. So KDEN, departure, here is the latest weather information. I'm just going to go ahead and copy that, and I'm going to put this over in my stack of flight notes. And by the way, this is what I call the flight strip. It's a NotePad file. If you look in the description below, you will see that I've copied and pasted that in for you. So departures, all west departures, multiple aircraft reporting, turbulence, blah, 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 blah. Departing runway 8 and 17 left and 25. So what does SimBrief say? SimBrief says runway 8. Okay, not so bad. Now then, unfortunately, Bozeman does not have a digital ATIS. So what could we do for figuring out the Bozeman? Well, there's several ways to do this. We could go and do KBZN. And if you're also in Europe, around the world outside of the US, and you don't have access to digital ATIS, you can go and just see, well, what are the airplanes doing? This one's kind of coming out of here. I'm guessing they're landing and departing to the southeast. And we can come to the bottom, and we can get Bozeman 270 at 10. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to copy that METAR in there too. So what did SimBrief say? SimBrief said runway 12. Well, I don't really remember all the airports. So let's go to Navigraph and let's do KBZN, Bozeman. And then we're going to come down here. I don't like the way I said Bozeman there. I might be needing more coffee today. So my guess is they took off on runway 12. I guess runway 12 is probably what they're doing here. Runway 3 makes more sense. So if it's runway Oh, wait a minute. Runway 12. So runway 12. Oh, it's not great, not terrible. I would guess maybe they're doing more like runway 30. So 30 is kind of what makes more sense. What did you say? They said arrival runway 12. Let's just go ahead and go with whatever SimBrief says right now. Let's just go with that. Okay, so everything looks good. And we do have winter weather. So I'm going to kick my contingency fuel up. So normally contingency's what, 15 minutes? I'm going to kick it up to just 30. I'm just going to add a little bit of fuel in there. So a little bit more of contingency just in case the weather is really, truly frightful. Let's generate the flight. I will apologize for an occasional smurf or snarf here. We do have a winter storm coming in. I'm already starting to feel a little sniffly from it. Okay, here's our flight. So let's go and view the PDF. And for this, what I like to do is save a copy of that PDF file to a file that I have on my desktop called Active Plan. And so with Active Plan in there, it's always there and ready to go. So we're going 47 passengers, 0 fuel weight. Everything looks pretty good. Let's go and start doing airplane things. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. Now then, let's also go and get our stack of charts ready to go. So the stack of charts, we're going to come over here and let's go to the airplane and let's import a flight from SimBrief. We'll also get rid of that map. And there's Denver to Bozeman. So let's click this one in here. And all of this looks good. Let's go and do charts. And we'll grab, let's see, that was Bozeman. We want Denver for our first charts. Okay, so taxi is going to be, we are at the Bravo Concourse. So let's get gate information. Let's get the airport information. And our departure for today's flight, I didn't copy that down. And we can find it by looking over here. What did our departure? We are doing the DDRTH1. DDRTH1. I have no idea what DDRTH means. So here's the DDRTH1 dearth. I don't know. So we're taking off on runway 8. That means we're going to loop-de-loop out this way, and out we go. Okay, I think that's just fine. Coming on in to Bozeman, what's Bozeman doing? We're just direct to Bozeman off the runway. So let's go to runways itself, charts, no stars. Runway 12, we'll grab the ILS. Let's see, this one, is this going to give us a procedure turn over the runway? No, it isn't. So we're going to have to do our own little vectors here. We can do that. We're that good. Let's also grab the airport chart, and I think that's also going to have gate information. It does, so we're all good to go there. Okay, got your charts ready to go? If you are flying with me the first time on this, you should have your airplane at the gate. You should have done the things that I've done. If you need to, hit pause on the video, start it up, fly along with me. This will be a complete flight. I will pause in the middle for cruise just because there's nothing really to say about cruise and stuff like that. So this is good. And if you're still with me, let's go and do more airplane things. We've got, Sim Toolkit Pro. So one of the things is Sim Toolkit Pro is how I'm logging my flights. But because I'm using the new advanced flight planner through SimBrief, I'm forgetting to come over here and do flight planning and load from SimBrief. And then go ahead and hit, let's see, we're not going to be on VATSIM for this flight, and just hit fly now. I'm forgetting to do this so I can get my flight logged. Okay, so there's the information there. And that way I will get the flight logged, and that's good. So here we are. We are at gate Bravo 23, just like the real flight. Let's go and use some GSX. So here comes GSX, and we're going to go and grab ourselves a jetway. So operated jetway, United Airlines. Here comes our jetway. Now then, I've already messed up here because in this airplane, you need to have the door open before the jetway. Fortunately, we can violate the laws of physics here and have a solid go right through another solid. So there goes our door. You're supposed to open the door on a CRJ before you attach the jetway. So there we go. You can see the doors open, jetway is in place, and all is right with the world. I've also opened my air cargo, my forward and aft cargo, and I'm also going to attach a ground power unit. Okay, so and if we kind of loop around over here, you'll see, look at that. There's our cargo doors are open too. Now, I haven't really used GSX to load passengers or anything with the airplane yet, so I need to learn how to do those things. But that is going to be another day, because right now we're going to go into performance. Normally, the way that I load a CRJ is I go and I change over to zero fuel weight. It's really easy, but today I'm going to be a little different. We're going to try and learn something new. So what I'm going to do is go over to page number 3, and we've got 47 passengers that we're going to fly. So let's come over here, and we're going to delete, and we're going to put in 47 passengers. Okay, there's our 47 passengers. Let's go over here, and we're going to delete everything in the forward cargo. And I'm going to delete everything in the aft cargo. Okay, so right now, our zero fuel weight is 24,829, and it's supposed to be 24.2, so it's supposed to be 1.2 kgs of cargo. So let's go 1200 of aft cargo and see what that did. Now we're at 24950, and the airplane was supposed to have... It's supposed to be 24206. So let's see. I've got that. Maybe I should have gone 1.2. Do I have a decimal? No, I don't really have one of those. So this is learning something new about cargo. So it says 120. Maybe that's what it was supposed to be. 120 kgs? Or is it 12? How about let's do 12 and see what it does. Now we're our zero fuel weight. Payload is 24841. It's supposed to be 24.2. So my numbers are off just a little bit. I may not be doing everything right. We also need to do fuel. Fuel is going to be 4.4. So let's go ahead and put that in. So it's going to be 4440 and enter. I don't think that's going to change zero fuel weight or anything. So fuel is good. Zero fuel weight is now 24841. The number is supposed to match this, 24206. I'm going to say that's close enough, and maybe somebody brought a baby or something. I don't know. I don't know if this it should be 12 kgs or obviously it's supposed to be. I can't do a decimal point, so that's as good as it's going to get. So if we do just 1, well, I'm not going to worry about it at this point. This is something new to learn about. So this is relatively close, and that's another way to go ahead and load the airplane. The other thing we could do is we could go to zero fuel weight, and we could delete out the zero fuel weight and put in 24206, 24206. This is a little rabbit hole-y, I know. So there's 24206. Now let's look at passengers. It put 34 passengers in, 353 and 444, 353 and 151. So it cut down the number of passengers to 34 passengers and kicked the fuel up a bit. But we've got a zero fuel weight, which is what we're supposed to be. So anyway, let's go ahead and try this flight and see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and put our 47 passengers aboard. So 47 passengers. I'm going to get rid of everything in this one just because I don't think we're going to put anything up there except maybe somebody else's bags. And let's go to 1 kg here. Let's just see what 1 looks like. So now this gave me a zero fuel weight of 24830. Now there's 2495. I think this is close enough. So I'm just going to go with this. Let's see what happens. I mean, you know, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? My pixel plane will fall out of the pixel sky. Okay, so this is looking good. The aircraft has already got chocks in place. Doors are open. My ground power is connected. Enough of this rabbit hole. It is time to go and start turning on the airplane. So let's come over here and let's do electrical power. And there's our electrical power. AC is on. And let's go down here. And we're going to do nav lights. Nav lights are good. I'm going to turn on the 3A hydraulic switch. I think that's the one. Some pilots turn that on, some don't. I don't know what the right answer is on this one. We'll come over here. We're going to turn up a little bit of backlighting up here on the upper panel. And over here on air conditioning, I'm going to turn on the recirculating fan. And the recirculating fan should kick into gear 2. Okay, and all of that is good for a start. I'm also going to do no smoking because we're going to fuel the airplane. And the airplane comes to life. While we're waiting for things to power up, let's come on down here to the integrated lighting down here. And I'm going to turn up integrated lighting on the panel. And I'm also going to get this out of the way. And there's an integrated lighting down here. I'm going to turn that up too. Just makes things easier to see. Okay, so let's also do AC power. I should have clicked that on too. And now we should start to hear the fans coming up too, right? Aha, here comes the fans. So everything is now right with the airplane. Technically, the airplane is already loaded. So once we hit the buttons over here in performance, the airplane's loaded. So going running through the GSX stuff doesn't make sense as far as loading up the airplane. So let's go and do the flight plan. Our nav data is good. Position in it. We are at KDEN, Denver International Airport. Our gate today is B23. Let's see if this knows it. B23. Some airports do, some airports don't. Hey, this one knows this one, so let's go ahead and do, put this in the scratch pad, set the airplane's position, and then slide back down here. And then, yeah, I usually will slide over here. See, GSX gets really upset with you if you don't have the parking brakes on. So I'm leaving the parking brake on right now. And then we'll go ahead and turn on nav. Used to be I would turn this off, but we'll leave that on. And this is coming to life there. Okay, flight plan. We are at Denver. You have to put it in a second time, KDEN. We are going to KBZN, Bozeman, Montana, the snow zone. Let's see, our alternate is Billings. So KBIL. Actually, I think Billings is already getting a little bit of nasty weather. We are flying as United Airlines. And our flight number that we're actually flying today is... let's see. Which one were we doing? United 397. So 397. Is our flight today. United flies an A319 on this flight. And our first checkpoint in the sky is going to be DDRTH. So do DDRTH, dearth, and put that in here too. Then it puts you over to page 2. So after dearth, we're going to boy. After boy, we're going to lost, L-O-S-S-T. L-O-S-S-T. Pity the poor pilot that has to report their position as lost. After lost, it's Garnt, G-A-R-N-T. G-A-R-N-T. And that's pretty much it. We could also then do direct to Bozeman's VOR. So if we take a look over at the flight plan here, so the ILS, the Bozeman VOR, we're not going to do a procedure turn out of that. We could take it, so there is initial approach fix is Bridger. So Bozeman, Bridger. So we didn't do any kind of a star. Nope, there is no star coming in here. So it's coming in from the Bridger checkpoint. So there's lost, there's Garnt, And then after that, it was going to be Bridger. So there's Bozeman. There's a small airport there. There's Three Forks. So we'll just go ahead and do our vectors after that. So I think that is a good flight plan. And so let's execute that. And that's good. Performance init. Before we do that, this is usually when I come up here and we're going to flip open the APU door. And in fact, if we come back here, we may even see there's the little door. And you can see that the little door is actually opening here. So the APU door is open. So there we go. And then we can come back up here and we can start the APU. So we'll get that going. All right. With that in mind, let's go ahead and do our performance data. And for today's flight, we are going to fly to Bozeman at flight level 400, 40,000 feet. And I've already done it wrong. So I tried to do 40. You have to do FL 400. Or you could also just do 40,000 feet if you don't want to do FL and it converts it. To get to Billings, our alternate, it's flight level 210. So FL 210. Whoops, missed the 2. 210. That's if we have to fly to our alternate. That's all we got to do. Come on over here and now hit copy performance data into the FMS. This is also where I'm going to set my bugs for departure. So speed bugs for takeoff, and that puts all of that data in there for us there. I'm going to execute that, go to page 2. ISA deviation, this is over on page 1 of the Lido style. Average ISA is plus 0.04. So I'm going to hit plus 4. Cruise winds, this is also over here on the flight plan. Average winds are 303 at 5.6 knots. So 303/5.6. Now then, for climb and descent, what I've been doing, and this may not be right, is I kind of go in. So we're going to go to page number 6, and this is wind information. And at top of climb at flight 400, the winds are 285 at 53. I don't, again, know if that's right. 285 at 53 knots, but that's what I'm going. And then on the other side, for top of descent at flight level 400, it's 321 degrees at 73 knots. So 321 degrees at 73 knots. Okay, so that takes care of page 2. Execute that. Page 3 is an estimated time of departure. Right now it is 15:27. I'll bet we'll be out of here by 15:40. So 15:40 should be good for our estimated time of departure, and execute that. Next step is VNAV. And over here on the VNAV setup, it's got transition altitudes, any speed restrictions you could pop in and change. So if we were in Europe, we'd have to change the transition altitudes out. There's our cruise, there's in, and then I usually leave this over here on progress. Okay, all is right with the world here. We do have the APU. One number that's kind of hard to get to is this little thing right here. So landing elevation, you see where it says 0? If you hold the right alternate button and click it, it's going to go and pop up that window. And it's going to give you a ridiculously sized window like this. So you have to resize it a little bit here. And then you can go up here to the top window, slide this over here, and we're going to set cabin pressurization for landing. So look over at your charts for Bozeman. Bozeman is 4,473 feet. So all you can do is come over here and crank this in intervals of 20. Now it's going to take forever. So once we get to 1,000, well, you can just do it now. Hold down the shift button and that makes it go even faster. So we can go and crank this up like this. This is one of the awkward things to set. So 4473. There's 4, 4, 6, 4480, 446. I think 80 is closest. Okay, so that's how you set your landing elevation. Again, I really don't like popping out windows, but I think that's the best we're going to do. Everything else is looking good. I'm going to turn on my windshield heaters now, and life is good. Over here on the departure, so our departure on the DIST, our initial altitude or top altitude for the climb is flight level 230. This is another awkward thing to set. So if you look over here in the primary flight display, there's a pink number, it's 10,000. Go ahead and click your altitude up to flight level 230. So it's a small number, it's hard to see, and then look closely and verify that is it indeed the altitude that you want. After that, we're going to set our departure runway. We are departing off of runway 8, so 083. That's the same thing. Go over to the heading, and it's a pink number that you just crank up, 083. Verify it before it disappears, and you're good to go. Okay, life is really getting good here on the airplane. ATC, go to the radio page, and we're going to squawk 2000. I'm going to go to the MFD menu. I'm going to change my window to VNAV. And what this has gone and done is this has added a little bit of flight data up here that's going to help me with climbs and in particular top of descent. And that's really nice too. Gives us our checkpoints in the sky, and now we can go and do departure and arrival. So departures runway 8, the DIST transition, execute that. Arrivals, our arrival into Bozeman, we are planning the ILS for runway 12. We do have 2 checkpoints. We could do the checkpoint at Bozeman or Bridger. I'm going to go to Bridger. I'm not 100% sure that's right, but let's give that a try and see what happens. Come on down to legs. After takeoff, it's Royal, Turban, and Chicken. Farm, Yammy, DIST, Boy, Lost, Garnt. After Garnt, let's try Bridger. Now we could be, so looks like the altitude, the headings are fairly decent. They stay consistent. So Bridger was probably a good choice. And execute that. And then we're coming in Falia, Manny, runway 12. And then if we have to go missed approach, it's we go out to Bridger and hold. So everything is right with the world there. So our flight plan is in, our performance data is in. We're just waiting for the alignment to finish. And I think that should be finishing up really pretty quickly. We do have the APU up and running, so that's good news there. Let's go ahead and do seatbelts. Passengers are in their seats. We're done fueling the airplane. We can come outside here, and we can go ahead and we're going to release the jetway. So we'll do that with GSX. And I'm going to go ahead and operate the jetway. Again, the jetway on these airplanes, you're going to go ahead and pull the jetway away, and then you can go and close your door. So we still have some cargo pits open, and we got the door open for the last little bit. We can go to the aircraft. I'm going to go, and we're on the APU. I'm going to disconnect ground power. I'm going to close that forward cargo. We're not putting anything in forward cargo. So here goes the forward cargo. I guess they use that for probably last minute baggage and stuff, perhaps. I don't really think I've ever seen, when I've been on a CRJ flight, I don't think I've ever really seen one of those. Okay, so while that's good, we can also go ahead and I'm going to close the back cargo. And we're just waiting for alignment. I hope the alignment's happening soon. So we could go to index, position init. Let's go and see what we have over here. FMS position, GNS. I think we're almost aligned. It's got to be pretty quick. Oh, look at that. We're aligned. So now we're going to go ahead and let's close that door. So we're going to go and close the main door, and we can watch the door close up there.
Captain, the cabin is secure. All passengers are aboard.
All right. While this is going on, we're going to go back to our friends at GSX, and we are going to prepare for pushback and departure. Let's see. Ice warnings. No, we don't care about that.
Due to icing conditions, please stand by until push is completed and brakes are set.
All right, we will do that. Altimeter is 2976 here in Denver. So 2976, we'll set the altimeter. 2976. There we go. And I'm going to be a good pilot and set my backup.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
2976. Well, thank you. It's great to be pushed back. I'm going to go do the beacon. Let's arm the emergency exit lights. And everything else is good. I'm going to turn on my remaining hydraulic pumps now. Turn those to auto. And if we look outside, you can see somebody's violating the laws of physics as they just kind of walk in there.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
And we're waiting for our tug to come out. And there we go. Here comes our tug. One of the things I like about GSX is it brings out an appropriate size tug, which is nice. And everything else is really pretty good.
Locking gear.
Cool. So they're going to lock the gear. Now let's also come on in here, and my parking brakes, I'm going to look there. Parking brakes are engaged. I'm going to disconnect, unplug my chocks. And so we're almost ready to go. We're just going to do a straight pushback.
Release parking brakes.
We're ready to go. Shall we give it a shot? We said we were departing at 1540. It is 1536. That's pretty good. Parking brakes are off.
Commencing push. Due to icing conditions, please stand by until push is completed and brakes are set.
Okay, fun fact about Denver. Denver, they push you straight back to the first line. They do not spin the airplane right or left. So you don't get a spin or anything like that. It's a straight push at Denver. If you're using GSX, you'll see our ground crew chief is walking along with us. When the crew chief stops as we're walking back, that's a good indicator that they're about ready to stop you. So when she stops walking, they'll push back a little bit further until the nose of the airplane, you'll be able to see her. So let's see how far they push us back. If you stop it early, they start to pull you forward. Here is usually if you're on VATSIM, they're going to tell you to push back to the first line. So this is where we stop. And she's still going, going, going. So let's go ahead and let's intervene. Stop here and complete. And it looks like he's not pushing us back. So that's good. So parking brake is set. Now at this point, we can go ahead and start engines. Boost bumps are going on. Sorry, my voice is going to be cranky here. And let's go ahead and ground start engine number 2. And here comes our right engine. This is another one of those awkward things here. So what you can do is kind of tilt down a little bit and start pulling back. Tilt down a little bit more so that you can see the engine instrument. So there's the data, 16, 17. It's a really small number. And at 20, lift the red tab and push the throttle forward. And then pull it back. And what they're doing is they're now waiting for us to confirm a good engine start. But because we did the manual intervention, it's not going to do. It didn't tell us. See, we can come down here, and I'm going to bring my map in a click for our departure. And we're getting a good engine start here. And it's the right engine. And so the crew chief, now this is always entertaining too. For this part, the crew chief is always looking in the wrong direction. So it's sort of, that's a little GSX thing. Okay, we got a good start on that engine. Let's go back to the GSX menu. And we're going to confirm a good engine start.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine
I'm going to go
start.
back to GSX, and I'm going to click GSX up here, and that just disengages GSX. And let's ground start engine number 1. Engine 1 starts. Same drill as before. I kind of tilt it down a little bit, move it back a bit, tilt down a little more so that I can see the engine gauges here. And we're looking for 20%. Red lever, push it forward. 20%.
Unlocking gear.
And then push your throttle forward. And then as soon as the little red lever goes down, I usually will just pull those back to idle. And there goes the truck.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
Cool. Now she's going to walk out from under here. And as soon as she's done, we'll go ahead and get what they call the salute and release from guidance. Okay, we got 2 good starts there. So let's come on up here. We're going to go ahead and turn on probe heaters since she is now clear of the nose of the airplane. And there she is walking out there, and you can see she's got, the crew chief has the yellow streamer, red streamer attached to the nose wheel bypass pin. She's going to hold it up. Okay, so that's good. Step 1. Let's turn on engine packs and air conditioning. And then we're going to come back over here, and she's going to hold it up and wave again. After you get that wave, that means it's okay to start taxiing out. Okay, so I came over here, and I turned on the 2 packs, air conditioning. Probe heaters are on too, so all of those are good. We're going to come up here. We're done with the APU. For takeoff, the cross-flow auto override switch gets turned on. Nose lights get turned on too. We're going to ring the bell, which is the no smoking sign. Let the cabin crew know that we're serious about doing that taxi thing. We're going to come down here and squawk mode Charlie on taxiways. I'm going to do yaw dampers. I'm going to do stabilizer trim. I'm going to do mock trim. And all is right with the world. Come over here. Nose wheel steering is now armed. Toe brakes. Push your toe brakes on your rudder pedals. Release the parking brake. And it's out we go. Taxiing to runway 8. That's going to be a left turn. So as we come around over here, out we go. And there's our on-time departure. On-time departure's got to sound pretty ridiculous here in the world of flight sim. The thing is if you're going to be in some VATSIM events and stuff, it's important to think about on-time departures because you are given a departure slot that you have to hit. In fact, you have to be ready for push and start 10 minutes before your slot. Otherwise, you have to wait a long time. So, there you go. Let's see. Flaps can go down to flaps 8. There goes flaps. We'll do a speed brake check. Always good to make those things flap up and down. And here is our taxi line going out. Denver, of course, is a big airport. So here in the ramp area, taxi speed should be around 10-15 knots. You can go up to 20, maybe a little bit more on a long taxiway out of here. Right now our ground speed is 11 and going up. So we'll pull the engines back just a bit. Before takeoff, we're going to want to come down here and hit the button on the throttles. That puts us into takeoff mode. If you don't want to look down there, you see the little screw here on the autopilot. There's a finger on top of it now. That is a place that you can push that button to. Last thing to do is let's go over to performance. And we're going to look at takeoff trim is 5.8. So that's going to be over here. 5.8. That really kind of helps you on your takeoff because you're going to get to be busy. That's going to pitch the airplane just perfect for your takeoff. And life is good. Takeoff config even says it's okay. No smoking, manual cross flow, seat belts. The airplane's ready to go. Now we just have to do the long taxi here in Denver. What I'll usually do is come over here. I will put this one on legs. I will put this one over on progress. And everything's good. This is set our V speeds over here in the speed tape, so we're good to go with that. One of the next things that I'm going to be doing with this airplane is going out onto the internet, and I'm going to do CRJ7 and checklist and PDF. I'll do a search for those, and I'm going to try and get a nice PDF copy of the checklist that the pilots use in the cockpit here. Not necessarily all of the procedures. Now, there's a chance that that checklist is also in the documentation, because one of the things that I've found is with these complex airplanes, and this one I think is getting to the point where I can say it's complex. One of the things is if you run a checklist like that, particularly in a VATSIM event, wow, does it make your life better. It really, because you're doing so much. These are two-person cockpits, and you're flying it all alone by yourself. And there's a little jump to the left and step to the right. We're going to go and get on Mike, which is the second left. Our ground speed has dropped a little bit, so now it's 11. 10 to 11 is good for a 90-degree turn. And there is taxiway Mike. Of course, to look at the sign, you kind of have to slide over a bit. And then a gentle turn here. And now we're on a big old long straightaway, so I'm going to increase my throttle just a bit, and I'll let my taxi speed increase to about 20 knots on a big long taxi like this. There's the big United hangar. So now we're at 13, and our speed should be increasing. There's 14 knots. With the nose wheel steering armed like this, you do use whatever your tiller is for steering this airplane. Now, over on other airplanes, like I believe the 737, you actually steer more with the rudder pedals. This one, not so much. Everything else is perfect. We don't have vectors off the runway, so we're going direct to Royal. So RNAV to Royal. So as we get a little closer to the runway, I'm going to go ahead and turn on the nav button for the autopilot. Again, rotate at 126 knots. Really find it helpful because these numbers are so small, and maybe I ought to sit a little bit closer, a little bit forward to be able to see them better. But this is the view that I'm generally comfortable with on this airplane. Okay, we're coming to the end of this long old taxi, so thrust idle. How fast did we get going here? So we're cruising along at about 25 knots here on the ground. A fairly good little clip here. But if you look out the side window, if you've been a passenger going out of Denver, as you look over here, you see this big depression in the scenery. Those are some of the big drainage areas that they have. Some of these payware airports are now showing these drainage ditches, which is pretty cool. The scenery is getting better and better. Okay, ground speed is now down to 23, so we might have to do a little toe brake. Now we're down to 21. Up there's the security truck.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has advised that we are now cleared for takeoff.
Uh-oh. So my rudder pedals did not engage. I think I have a problem with SPAD.next. I think my SPAD is not working. I don't have rudder pedals. This is why you do brake checks. Let's go ahead and get up in the air and we'll try and fix it then. Okay, landing lights are on. We're on a runway. Strobes can go on too. Let's go ahead and fly the airplane. Actually, let's see. We're cruising down here just a little bit. So let's go and see if I can't get that started. It would probably be good to have rudder pedals. This is a really long runway, so let's get SPAD up and running because it's got some tude. Come on, SPAD, we're running out of runway. SPAD.next is is an interface that you can use to go between your peripheral controllers, your USB controllers, and also the simulator. It works really good. I went and I got it. And now we got brakes. Perfect. Life is good. So throttles up a little bit. Let's see if it's stable. I got that when somebody sent me a really nice gift. TripTaker sent me the Logitech radio control panel, which is so helpful. Okay, thrust up to toga. Steering with rudder pedals now. $80 knots. I don't know what callouts they do in a CRJ. It's 80 in a Boeing. V1, rotate. Positive rate gear. And there we go. We are up and away. Following my flight directors. Bit of a turn. And we're looking good. Flight director's commanding us up just a little bit. I'm going to go to nav. I'm going to go to speed. I'm going to go to AP engage. I'm going to kick my speed up to 200. And I think there might be a speed restriction of 210 or 220 on this departure first. Let's see if that's true. Nope, no speed restrictions. There are some altitude restrictions though. So we're going to go ahead and kick that speed right on up to 250. There goes 250, looking good. So there's our speed. Again, this airplane does not have an auto throttle. Up there's the T. We need to be doing some flaps. And leading edge slats going up. And the AP has got us. There's Royal. And we're supposed to stay below 10,000 feet at Royal. So we've got below 10,000 feet at Royal. And then above 14 at Chicken. That's to keep us at a certain altitude. For out of arriving traffic's way. There's 10,000 feet landing lights. So 1, 2, 3. Let's also increase our speed. Now I'm going to increase this to 270 for this climb. We're going to 40,000 feet. And looks like we're just continuing the climb on up here. So there's 11,000. It didn't hit that constraint. Probably because I don't have VNAV going and I was supposed to hit that constraint. So 260 and out we go. Fortunately, ATC is not keeping close track on us, and we're not going to get written up for that. And this is really what it looks like coming out of the Denver area. So there is turbine. I always like to reset my heading. Bug. Passing 12,000 feet. We're supposed to be above 14 at Chicken. We're going to be well above there. Let's just go ahead and increase the altitude up to I'm going to increase that up to 40,000 feet. ATC is being very nice to us today. So I hope your your departure was as good. Now, chances are, because this is recorded on YouTube, maybe you took off on a different runway. Could be that, you know, a day or two later, if you're doing this flight with me.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now serving sandwiches.
15,000 feet is sandwiches here in the CRJ. Always like that call. So one of the things is if you're doing this on a day other than this, your departure runways might have been a little bit different. Could be your departure was different too. But essentially, if you're able to fly along and punch the same buttons, maybe this is helping you on your flight with this airplane too. Okay, there's turbine. Now we're going on out to chicken. And out we go. Coming up on 18,000 feet. So reset the altimeter, right click on the barrel button and then push it on this airplane. And then just hit standard on the backup. I have my pilot and co-pilot altimeters tied together. I think they're tied together. Is it still flashing? Nope, I didn't. So if I wanted to be good, I should come over here and we'll hit the barrel button here. And that takes care of the first officer. Passing 19,000 feet. And now all we're going to do is just basically a cruise. Bozeman is 610 miles away from us right now. It is 58 minutes of flying time. Rather than make you sit here and listen to me make some stupid lame joke about whatever I come up with for all of this time, generally what I will do is I will hit pause on the recording. And so when you get to the same altitude that I am for when I hit pause, you hit pause on the player. Then when you get to be 75 miles from top of descent, 75 miles from top of descent, start the playback again. How do you find top of descent on this airplane? Well, in this there's two ways. You can hit MFD data. And if you look in here, you'll see there's your flight plan. So chicken, farn, yammy, dearth, boy, lost, and garnt. We're not close enough to see a top of descent show up yet in this one. So we'll go ahead and turn MFD data off. The other place to look is go and see top of descent. Ah, look at this. It says it right here. TOD is an hour and 25. Yeah, it's a ways away. 470 miles is our top of descent. So when that number gets down to 75, that's when you go ahead and restart the sim. Restart the YouTube video. Your sim should stay going. The only thing that's going to happen is I'm going to continue my climb at 25,000 feet. I usually will go and hit seatbelts. So seatbelts can go to auto now. So seatbelts are on auto. All the rest of the lights are good. We can also turn off the cross-flow auto override here. So that's good news. And the airplane's flying along. Once you start to get to the top of your climb, you're going to have to take your throttles. In fact, I've already messed up. Throttles are in takeoff mode. I'm going to move them back a notch. Now it's in climb mode. So that now we're in climb mode. As we get to 40,000 feet, it's going to flash at you here. You'll take it out, move it back out of climb mode just a little bit, and then all you do is very, very small throttle movements forward and backward until you get to your cruise speed. In our case, we're planning for Mach 0.77. So at 31,000 feet, these indicators change over to Mach, and we will try and hold Mach 0.77. So I'm going to hit pause myself. It's time for me to go and grab another cup of coffee. And so I'm going to go and hit pause, and I will look forward to seeing you at 75 miles out. Right now, we are 459 nautical miles from our top of descent. I'm passing 29,000 feet. So this is when you're going to hit pause on your player. And I hope you have a good flight. One of the things to do is look out the window and enjoy the scenery. I mean, if you haven't been able to do a flight in a while, one of the cool things to do is just look out and watch and enjoy the scenery going by. See you 75 miles from top of descent. Welcome back. Okay, I know it's only been, a few seconds for me, but hopefully your flight's going pretty good. The CRJ is flying high. We got a beautiful sunrise behind us here as we continue on our way to Bozeman, Montana. Snow has started to fall. I think we might have a nice little winter approach here. And let's go ahead and have a look and see how things are going. Where are we at? Okay, well, we're relatively close. I missed it by about 10 miles. We're 84 nautical miles from our top of descent. As you take a look in here, there is that looking good there. Runway 12. I think that there's a couple of extra steps in here. Lost Garnet. Let's look and see. There's Lost Garnet, Bridger. Then we've got is that correct? Did I misplace this a little bit? So, Flia, Manny, and then runway 12. Nope, I don't think I missed it. So we are doing pretty good here. And let's do a quick check right now of progress, lost. And let's look at the MFD data. Top of descent, it says, is 78 miles. Let's see here. Okay, how far away are we from Bozeman? 211. Okay, I guess we're doing pretty good. I was looking at the map there, and it was sort of like, boy, it looks like we're getting pretty close. But there's 80 miles. So I don't see... Top of descent is right in here. So here's Bridger. Now there's a chance that maybe this is not right. There's something a little bit weird about this. I don't think that that's missed approach or something. Something's a bit different here. I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to go ahead and start our descent. It looks like we're 80 miles out, and it says top of descent in 73. We're going to go ahead and start our descent now. I think now is the time. So for our descent, there's no star, but we're going to be on the ILS, and it's 8,000 feet, and we want to be at 8,000 feet at Flia, I'm guessing. I'm not sure. So let's go ahead and plan for 8,000 feet. So I'm going to crank the altitude down here. So 6, 7, 8, and then... let's see, 8,000 feet. Okay, that's good. We're at Mach 0.77. So I'm going to go ahead and start this now. I don't think that this is right. So we're going to hit the speed button. I'm going to drop my speed down to Mach 7.4. And let's go ahead and pull those throttles back and start on down. Now, even though we're not on a VNAV descent or anything like that, eventually we should get a banana line that's going to show up. You know, one of those, this is when you're going to get to your descent, and eventually I think we're going to see a banana line show up in here. So let's pull this back a little bit more. Clearly there's something messed up in my flight plan. I'm not sure what. So speed's coming down. And now there goes our rate of descent. And as we hold Mach 0.74, there's about 2,000 feet per minute. Let's see what that does for us. We can bring the map in a click. We also should start thinking about minimums for the arrival. So minimums are going to be down here. Minimums are at the bottom of every approach chart. And our minimums here are 4643. So 4643. This is another time when we get to crank a number here, a ridiculous number of time. So MDA, push the button and hold the shift to start, and we're going to 4643. There's 1,000, 2,000. Whoa, if you move your mouse just a little bit. So there's 3,000, 4,643. There's 4,640. So there it is. There's our MDA is set. Let's bring the map back out and see if we have got, by any chance, the little banana there. There it is. It's finally starting to show up. So let's go ahead and pull our power back a little bit more, because we want it to be, there's Filia right there. We want this to be at Filia. So we're pulling those throttles back even more. And there we go. Okay, that's about as close. Nope, that's too much. So let's see. We're trying to get this little moving pink line, and we want that to be right at Filia there. Boy, am I glad I didn't trust this. Something was a little bit weird. Something's a little bit weird. Do I have some extra waypoints in here? So let's look at legs. Gart, Bridger, there's a DME arc. Then we intercept, and then Fleamani Bridger is our missed approach. If there's something in there that I've gone and done wrong, I don't get it. But that's why it's important to keep a close eye on your airplane while you're doing these things. Let's reset the heading bug. We also need to come over here and have a quick look at arrival weather. So come on back here, Bozeman. Let's do weather. And the METAR is 1656 Zulu. Winds are 270 at 11. 10 miles visibility. Life is good there. And we got a few clouds here and there. The altimeter is 2986. So we'll leave that up over there for our arrival. Now then, for the ILS frequency, if you go to the radio page, if your navigation is set to auto, this will automatically tune your radio for you. So we don't have to worry about that. We've set minimums, so that's the good thing there. Now we've got some gusty winds here, so it's kind of fluctuating back and forth around our little waypoint. So we'll just go ahead and chill there. And everything else is going fairly decently at the moment. You can see the clouds definitely have thickened up a little bit since we left Denver. If you look at a real-world weather radar right now, you can see that there is rain, basically rain and snow on either side of where we're going right now. I picked Bozeman because I thought, oh, right in the middle, this is going to be the spot for our descent. Boy, was I wrong. Oh, I forgot to turn on the overlay. Hello. Thanks for putting up with that. We're back. And everything else is fine. The only other thing that I'll usually do is once I get out of Denver, I might hit the edit button down here and delete the Denver departure, especially once I've made the call that we're not going back to Denver. So another thing to do is have a quick look here at missed approach, climb to 5,200, right turn to 8,000, and head at Bridger intersection. So after out we go to Bridger. Especially on a VATSIM flight, and especially on some of the really big events, that is a great thing to do. Now, if you'd like to have flight notes, you can come over here and you can do KBZN over in something like SimToolkit Pro and Volanta. And see, this still has the 1556 Zulu weather in there. So that's got an older weather. I was hoping for an updated weather, but it doesn't. So the most current weather right now is over here in, it's 1656. It's this one right here. The problem with this one is you can't highlight, you can't cut and paste out of Navigraph anymore. So it's also 1703, so that is the latest weather. And we're descending right now at about 270 knots. That's pretty good at the moment. Passing 24,000 feet. Let's do seatbelts back to on. Make sure the passengers are seated. Now we're also going into clouds and freezing, so we need to be ready with engine and possibly wing anti-ice. So we'll have to keep a close eye on that. As we approach 10,000 feet, we'll have some speeds to keep an eye on. Probably start adding just a little bit of power here. Not much, just a tad bit to keep that the little bottom of descent arc fairly close to where we want to be. Although as we start to get closer on in, we're going to want to reduce our speed, even though we're not anywhere near 10,000 feet. See, we'll go ahead and arm our thrust reversers for landing. That's an important thing to do with this airplane. And you can see that the winds really are kind of kicking us around a bit here. Let's go ahead and start reducing this to 250. So I'm going to go to 250 on that speed. And the little arc is going to kind of freak out a little bit until we get closer to that speed. But we're 20 miles from the turn, so getting a little bit closer to that speed might be a good idea. Here comes our arc back. And it'll get closer and closer to us as we approach that 250 knots. Airplane still flying. Oh, we got clouds above us now, so clearly our descent has begun. Another thing to do is the real-world airplane is going into gate Bravo 3. So as we come on in here and look, we're landing on runway 12. We'll probably get off at Alpha 2. The terminal is back here. And gate Bravo 3 is back over here. So it's going to be a jetway. So if we get off at Alpha 2, there's Alpha 3. This gives us an idea of where it is that we're going to be coming on in, which is a good thing to start getting in the back of your mind, especially in a big VATSIM event. Coming up on 18,000 feet, it's time to redo the altimeter, and the altimeter is 2986. 2986. I'm trying to be good. 2986 on the backup, so we're good to go there. We're starting to pick up, we're picking up localizer. So that's good. And there's 17,000 feet. I'm going to go ahead and do 240. So now I'm going to start reducing my speed down to about 210 as we get closer to the runway. And that should get us really good close for the arrival. The descent, bottom of descent arc is going to fluctuate when you're doing those speeds around, but that's okay. We are now officially at Bridger, so this will be a 15-mile DME arc around the Bozeman VOR. And that's looking good. Let's continue to reduce our speed. And I do this usually in this airplane in increments of 10. So increments of 10 is pretty good. You might need speed brakes a little bit as we're coming in here, but I want to get down to 210 so we can start throwing out some flaps. Let's go ahead and I'm going to decrease the range to 10 miles now. There's 230. Let's go and do another 10. And we'll just go ahead, and I was a little bit there. Let's just do 210. Come on over here. We're going to set the landing speeds. There's bugs, and it looks like we're VREF is 129. Uh-oh, we are in clouds. I'm going to go and turn on engine anti-ice. We are definitely in clouds in the snow zone here. And now we can also come and do leading edge slats. And I'm going to do a notch of flaps. And there comes the flaps down for 210. Here comes our little DME, our distance to the descent, and we have to be above 8,000 feet. We're perfect there. I'm going to reset the heading bug. And the airplane's doing this little turn very nicely. Everything's good to go up here. We're relatively close to the airport. It's not 10,000 feet. Let's go ahead and do landing lights because we're within 10 miles of turning final. So regardless of your altitude, let's go and get those on. Start being attention freaks. And the weather outside does appear to be getting more and more frightful. We're going to hit that 8,000 at FLIA very, very nicely. So here at Filia, there was this heading vector that was a little weird after that. I don't know what this line is, so I'm not sure what that's all about. I'm going to reset my heading, and now I'm going to go ahead and dial this over to Filia. And now we're going to go ahead and take control from VNav. Let's come on back here. I'm going to switch my nav source over to Localizer 1, where we have glide slope and localizer all set up. I'm also going to reduce my speed now to 180. Speed's coming down. We're coming up into Filia here, which is really nice. Yeah, there was a little bit of a break, it seems, between this spot here and this one here. So there was something weird. We can do another notch of flaps. I'm also going to do landing gear. Things get busy on this one. And all that looks good too. I'm also going to resettle myself in the chair. I'm going to do a last click here. Nope, that's about all we get. So really, we are in super duper close at the moment. And in fact, can we even see the airport? You can see some snow on the ground too. I imagine the snow lines are going to be changing a bit here. There's 180. Now I'm going to go ahead and let's start our turn to the runway. And this is really kind of what it looks like in this area south and west of Bozeman, Montana. Although I would guess there's more snow. Let's go ahead and get a little bit of help now from the approach system. I'm going to arm the approach. That's going to help line us up on the runway. And that helps us out while we're busy doing twists and turns and setting other things up for the approach. May want to continue helping this with the heading go around here. I got the airport. I just saw the runway just before it disappeared behind the compass there. Sit back. Now then, our speed is starting to go down as we hit 8,000 feet, so throttle's up. You don't want to get too slow in this airplane. That is something that will really come up and catch you quickly.
We are about to land. Please remain seated until we have...
There's our speed coming up, and it's really kind of hard to see, but there's our speed coming up there. That looks good. And localizer 1, it's got us on the localizer. The next thing to do is make sure it's following the glide slope. Speed's still down a bit, so we were generally 180 until about 5 miles DME from the end of the runway. Okay, there's a little bit too much throttle. That's about right, 180. And we've started our descent for the runway, so that looks good too. We are 10 miles from the runway, so let's go ahead and bring the map in to 5 mile range now. That looks good. I'm going to reset my heading bug in case we have to do missed approach. A little bit slow. And then there's the end of the runway, and when it touches the 5 mile range ring, you know that you're all ready to go there. Gear is down, 4 green, and on this airplane we arm the thrust reversers. No auto brakes. There is an auto, the speed brakes auto deploy on landing. So it says auto and manual. I don't know that I've actually seen them deploy. We ought to check and see. So there's the airplane right there. On our landing, let's go ahead and we'll go like this. And let's see if the speed brakes automatically deploy. Runway is coming up. There's 5 miles from the runway. Again, our speed is 129. I'm going to let it be about 135. I always like to add just a little bit extra. So there is 135. Looking good. Another notch of flaps. And flaps are really hanging out now. Now, as we get closer to the air, oh my gosh, we just got an updated snow layer. Did you see that? Yeah, it's getting frosty here. Okay, that's good. Feet on the rudder pedals. As we start to come in, the airplane starts to rock back and forth with the autopilot on this airplane. Add some throttle here. Keep that speed, because it really will start rocking around. We got a bit of a tailwind on this. Let's get over here. My guess is even with the tailwind, Real World is sticking with runway 12 because this is their only ILS. It's a little bit too much.
1,000.
Back when Microsoft Flight Simulator first came out, there was this really big bad hole at the end of the runway here in Bozeman. So it cut the runway by a third. So they did fix that finally. There's 135. And we got blown off to the side again. Let's get back over where we belong. Little slow.
400. 300. Minimums 200.
Landing.
100.
Little crabby on this one. Oh, wow, look at the wind.
40. 30. 20. 10.
Reverse. Well, that was kind of all over the runway there, but we didn't go off. Braking. Reversers are stowed. Coming up on the airport map, as we thought, there's the Alpha 2. Oh, I never stopped. Oh, look at that. The speed brakes did deploy. The speed brakes did deploy. And then they flopped down. So the speed brakes do deploy on landing. So the auto speed brake thing does work. Flaps up. As soon as we get off the runway, because it's snowing or about to snow. Up here, we're going to go ahead and do lights. We're off the runway. Strobes can go off. APU, open the flap. Once you click the on switch, you can usually then go and click the start switch, and it should start it up for you, even if the little door isn't open. And turn back towards the terminal. From what I know, Bozeman Airport is the busiest airport in Montana because it's so close to Yellowstone and also the Big Sky ski resort. So this is definitely one of the bigger resorts, airports that comes into Montana. APU is indeed coming up, so that's good news. And we are going to Bravo 3. That is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 gates down. 8 gates from the end. And here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's going to be all the way kind of at the end. I think B3 is the second jetway from the end. So we'll go a little bit further here. Although technically I'll bet they would have us come in and not exit. Little bit more braking. So we're cruising down here at about 17 knots. We want to be 10 knots as we approach the ramp area. And I don't know if we actually have markings. . But my guess is there a marking there? Nope. My guess is that is going to be Bravo 3 right there. APU is up and running. Oh, I'm kind of off my taxi line. On the other hand, those taxiway lights are a little bit close, aren't they? And we're going to come in over here. You can see that Microsoft Flight Simulator has already set up gate gear down there at that gate. That's not the one we're going to. Now, you may need a little bit of power to do a turnaround here like this, but we're going into this one. So Microsoft Flight Simulator will set up at some gates. We're going to this one. And I really don't see a straight line in there. I see markings around this, but I don't see anything else. That's probably pretty good right about there. All right, so parking brakes. The APU is up and running. Now be kind of careful when you're turning off the engines. That fire handle over there, you can actually grab that fire handle and pull it on something like this. Okay, beacon can go off. Let's do seatbelts. Disengage that. These go off. I should have also turned off anti-ice and also the probe heaters. So all of these are good up here. Let's see, we should also stop squawking. Come on over here to the aircraft. We're going to put chocks in place. Open up cargo bays. Open up the passenger door. Let's drop the guardrails and see if we can't get this jetway to come and help us out. So GSX, let's see if GSX says that we're at the right gate. It says this is gate 41, so it doesn't really have the gate set up. Let's operate that jetway and see if it'll work. What do we have? We've got SkyWest. That's probably who works over here. Oh my gosh, look at everything that just popped up. The jetway's about ready to run over this guy. Whoops. And if you come in here, you can see the jet. Oh, look at that. We even have a jetway operator there. So there are some cool things that are starting to show up here in the sim. It really is great. Let's see what happens with... okay, I think everything is good. Airplane secure. Let's come on over here. Let's just do GSX. And let's see request deboarding. Let's see what it does. So deboarding is requested. And here comes a baggage. And well, there goes the jetway. Maybe I shouldn't have requested the jetway. So there's deboarding requested.
Passengers deboarding starting.
Let's put the jetway back in and see if it'll do that. So maybe if you request boarding. Okay, well, we're going to have people levitate. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa. Okay, GSX. Let's try and do that jetway again. Operate jetway, waiting for other services to complete. So if you're going to do the deboarding thing, you need to basically, yeah, you need to go and not operate the jetway. Okay. But it did put the, wow, look at that big, this one is so big, it just, you can't even get into that one. But all in all, let's call this a successful flight. I'm going to call that great. How was the landing rate? I was probably a little hard at the end there. Minus 30, 33? I never get a 33. I must have bounced. There must have been a bounce. I never get landing rates that nice. I'm not kidding. But we did it. Nobody was hurt. Nobody was arrested. The only other rabbit hole that I might jump down is take a look at my total fuel on landing. My total fuel is 2.3. The flight plan said, what, 1.2? So we had more than enough fuel to go around. We had enough fuel, to hold. So everything was perfect for this particular flight. The next thing that I'm going to be doing with an airplane like this is I'm going to be going and trying to learn.
Do you want to deboard crew?
Yes. Bye-bye.
Crew deboarding starting.
Let's get rid of the crew too. Bye. So anyway, this was fun. I hope that some of this helped you out just a little bit too. I guess we can watch the crew levitate here for just a second. While we're waiting for them, I'm going to remind you that the videos that I'm doing here, this is not about the right way versus the wrong way. I've been flight simming for a lot of years. I've got a Twitch flight live stream. But this is not about the right way versus the wrong way. This is about what works for me. I'm still really new here on YouTube, so I'm still reading all the comments and questions. If I did something wrong and you know about it, I can't wait to read about that in comments and questions. If there's a flight that you'd like to see me do, cold and dark, please put that in the comments and suggestions too. And also, if you could, visit us over on Twitch. The Spy Flight departs Tuesday through Sunday. 1900 Zulu is our departure time. I have also just launched a Patreon, and that is for pre-flight briefings for the Twitch
Pilots
flight.
deboarding starting.
Uh-oh, pilots are deboarding. We don't want to miss the pilots deboarding. So, yep, there come our pilots deboarding. See you later as they levitate through the air, through the magic of GSX. Isn't that great? Thank you so much for flying with me. I hope you are having a wonderful adventure in Flight Sim, and I will look forward to seeing you in the friendly skies. Until then, as always, stay healthy, stay safe, and cheers.